Welcome back, everyone. You are tuned in for the next deep dive on Preparing for the Collapse Radio. We're here to give you the strategic edge.
That's right. And if this is your first time listening, welcome aboard. You might know us from Forgotten Wisdom Radio, but we've joined forces with the book series and YouTube channel.
Yep, now Preparing for the Collapse Radio. Our mission stays the same, though. Deep dives into crucial sources, getting you the key info fast.
Exactly. Quick, but, thorough.
So today, we're digging into a really practical document from the author Spiritwalker. It's called 10 Things You Will Want to Know Before Moving Off the Grid. And our goal here isn't just the basics. We want to pull out those non-obvious bits, the financial hacks, the logistical shortcuts, the things that make self-reliance actually doable.
Yeah, it's less about, romantic ideals and more about smarts and efficiency. Spiritwalker really frames moving off grid as this total commitment.
Totally. He says the biggest hurdles aren't always, physical toughness. It's the money stuff, the planning stuff, the system itself.
Exactly. And he tackles that head on.
Okay, let's dive in. The very first point, it kind of floored me. He basically says, forget the banks when buying land. How does that even work?
Right. It seems counterintuitive. But he argues you don't need that institutional debt. He points out there are land companies, trusted ones, often selling raw land that will sell you a plot with just a small down payment and a closing fee. But here's the kicker. Often no credit check.
Wait, really? No credit check? So you just bypass the whole financial gatekeeping system?
Pretty much. It's cash and carry, essentially. You're trading, that long credit history dance for just having the down payment ready.
Wow. That opens doors for a lot of people who might be locked out otherwise, right? Bad credit, or just playing the bank game.
That's exactly his point. It's a philosophical shift, too. Immediate ownership. No decades of debt hanging over you right from the start. A huge psychological win.
Okay, so that's land, foundational. But then comes power. Getting land cheap is one thing, but setting up solar, that usually costs a fortune up front.
Yeah, the initial capital outlay for solar can be intimidating. But Spiritwalker has a similar kind of hack for this, too. That's his second point.
Another hack. Okay, I'm listening.
He says, look into buying solar panels by the pallet load. He claims you can sometimes get discounts up to, 50% off retail.
50%? Why? That sounds too good to be true. What's the catch?
It usually comes down to logistics and minor damage. He explains that often on a big pallet shipment, one panel might get slightly damaged in transit, maybe a cracked corner on the glass, something like that.
Oh. Okay.
And because the seller often can't legally, or just practically, break up that pallet to sell the perfect ones individually at full price, they'll discount the whole pallet heavily.
So you take the whole lot, knowing one might need repair or just be unusable, but the rest are fine.
Exactly. You get, say, 90% working panels for half the price. It takes some assessment on your end, maybe a little know-how to work around the dud, but the savings are, potentially massive.
That's smart. Turning a small liability for the seller into a huge opportunity for the buyer. Okay, so land without banks, power on the cheap. What about shelter? Lumber prices are crazy volatile.
Right. And that brings us to his point number 6. Building materials. Again, he's looking for the non-conventional source. He says forget expensive retail lumber, at least initially.
So what's the alternative?
Free wooden pallets and scrap wood. He says you can find them all over most towns. Think industrial areas, behind stores, construction sites sometimes.
Okay, pallets. I've seen people make stuff from those. But enough for a cabin. Or animal pens?
He suggests it's possible. Cabins, furniture, animal shelters. It's about seeing waste as a resource. Of course, there's a trade-off.
Yeah, I was going to ask, what about quality? Bugs, rot.
Definitely requires work. You got to be diligent. Inspecting the wood, maybe treating it, definitely pulling nails. It's a big labor investment instead of a cash investment. But again, for someone starting out building essential structures without dropping thousands at the lumberyard, that's a powerful skill.
Makes sense. Trading sweat equity for capital. Okay, that covers some core infrastructure. What about staying fed long term? Let's talk production. Point 3 was about animal fodder.
Yeah, specifically for rabbits. Rabbits are popular for homesteads, right? They reproduce fast, efficient meat source. But buying commercial rabbit feed constantly, that cost adds up year after year.
I bet. So what's the hack here?
Grow your own fodder. Spiritwalker points out it's cheaper, grows incredibly fast, like sprouts on a tray system kind of fast, and crucially, it only needs a one-time seed investment.
One time.
Well, you buy the initial seeds, like barley or wheatgrass. You sprout them, feed them, and you can keep that cycle going. That one bag of seed potentially replaces years of buying bags of feed pellets.
Huh. That's a really clear example of smart planning. Small upfront cost eliminates a huge recurring expense, like compound interest, but for homesteading.
Exactly. Financial thinking applied directly to agriculture.
But not everything can be hacked for cheap, right? Some things just cost money. That brings us to point 4, water.
Yeah, water's non-negotiable, and usually that means drilling a well. Spiritwalker gets specific here. He mentions in Texas County, Missouri, a decent well might cost you $5,000 to $7,000.
Oof, that's a chunk of change.
It is. He says he learned to dig his own well, but he also cautions. Trying to do that in really rocky areas, like he says, Rock Central Missouri, the Ozarks, maybe isn't the best idea for everyone.
Yeah.
He kind of suggests budgeting for a professional in tough terrain.
That detail about the Ozarks geology is key, isn't it? You have to know your land before you buy. That $7,000 estimate could easily double if you hit solid rock unexpectedly.
Absolutely. Do your homework on the geology, the water table. Sometimes drilling isn't feasible and you need to pivot to serious rainwater harvesting or maybe large cisterns. That depends on local rainfall patterns too. More research needed.
You know, hearing these specific examples of the land companies, the pallet deals, the well costs in Missouri, it really highlights how vital detailed practical information is. And if you're finding this level of detail useful, this kind of financial and logistical framework, that's exactly what the Preparing for the Collapse book series expands on. We're hitting the highlights here, but the books really dig into failure analysis, regional differences, budgeting, all the stuff you need for serious planning.
Yeah, they really turn this kind of outline into a proper handbook. We definitely recommend checking them out. The link's in the description.
Definitely. Okay, back to the list. We've got land, power, shelter, water, efficient feed. Let's talk growing food for people. Point 5 is companion growing.
Right, companion planting. He frames it as an ancient technique, which it is. It's about moving away from modern monoculture, just planting rows of one thing and back towards how nature works.
So planting different things together that help each other out.
Exactly. It's like creating a little ecosystem in your garden bed. Some plants repel pests that attack others. Some attract beneficial insects. Some help suppress weeds. It's organic pest and weed control, basically.
Does it always work? Are there combinations to avoid?
Oh yeah, you can't just throw everything together. Some plants actively inhibit others. Fennel is notorious for that. The biggest mistake is probably just following a chart without observing your garden. But when you get the combinations right, Spiritwalker says it leads to better harvests with less work, less weeding, less spraying.
Working smarter, not harder. Using nature systems. That ties into point 8 too, doesn't it? About knowing your local ecology before you clear land.
Yes, strongly. His advice is, before you cut down a single tree to build your house site, figure out what's already growing there, especially wild fruit or nut trees.
Why is that?
Because you might be about to bulldoze perfectly good established food sources. Wild plums, persimmons, mulberries, maybe nut trees, these things might already be there, producing food with zero effort on your part.
So pause the clearing, do an inventory first.
Preserve those assets. It's just awareness. Taking a moment to see what the land already offers before imposing your own plan.
And when you do plant your own crops, point 9 becomes critical: seeds.
Yeah, this is fundamental for long-term food security off-grid. He stresses using only non-GMO heirloom seeds.
Why heirloom specifically?
Because heirloom seeds breed true. That means you can save the seeds from your harvest one year, plant them the next, and get the same type of plant. You can't reliably do that with many hybrid seeds, and certainly not GMOs. He specifically mentions Baker Creek heirloom seeds as a big source, emphasizing their non-GMO. It's about self-sufficiency right down to the seed level.
Makes sense. Controlling your own food supply from the very start. Now, we've talked a lot about individual knowledge and resources, but point 7 is about community, right? Learning from others.
Yes, and this is maybe one of the smartest pre-move steps. Spiritwalker points out there are thousands of intentional communities, many off-grid, all over the country. He even cites a website, www.ic.org, as a place to find them.
So the idea is visit first, or join temporarily.
Exactly. Join one for a season, maybe longer. Offer your labor in exchange for learning. You get hands-on experience with homesteading skills, building, maybe animal husbandry, resource management, all without the immediate pressure and financial risk of having bought your own place yet.
Like an apprenticeship for off-grid living.
Precisely. It makes that final leap onto your own land much, much less daunting. You've already learned the ropes, made mistakes somewhere else.
That sounds incredibly valuable, almost essential maybe. Okay, one last practical point from his list. Number 10, heating. Specifically, wood heat.
Right. If you're off-grid in many climates, wood is your lifeblood for heat and cooking. This point is about realistic calculation and equipment.
Calculation.
You must figure out accurately how much wood you need to cut, split, and stack each year to stay warm in your specific region. It's a major annual labor commitment. Underestimate it, and you'll be cold. Or constantly scrambling.
And the equipment part.
He gives a very practical warning. Those cheap chainsaws you can buy, they're not built for the volume of cutting needed for off-grid life. They'll break down constantly. You need to invest in good quality, maybe professional-grade saws and equipment. Otherwise, tool failure becomes a serious weak link.
Okay. So, stepping back from all 10 points. The big picture here, from Spiritwalker's perspective, it's not really about just being tough, is it?
No, not primarily. It's about being smart, calculated efficiency, finding those financial loopholes, educating yourself constantly, understanding natural systems.
It really is that complete shift in awareness and responsibility you talked about.
That's the core message, I think. It's as much an intellectual challenge as a physical one.
Yeah.
And hopefully this deep dive shows that the information, the shortcuts to getting prepared, they are out there. And again, the kind of stuff we've touched on, the land hacks, the energy savings, the community learning, the seed knowledge, it's all laid out in much more detail in the Preparing for the Collapse book series. If you're serious about this path, those books are designed to give you that comprehensive guide, that deep context. Seriously, check the link in the description. It's a vital resource.
Absolutely. So as we wrap up, let's leave you with a thought to chew on. Spiritwalker's whole approach emphasizes finding value where others don't look. Free wood, cash land deals, growing your own feed instead of buying it. It's about seeing hidden resources. So the question for you is, what resources are already abundant and probably free in your own immediate environment right where you are now that you've maybe been conditioned by convenience to completely overlook? What's the hidden capital around you?
Yeah, start looking for the abundance you didn't realize you had.
Something to think about. That's our deep dive for today. We'll catch you next time on Preparing for the Collapse Radio.